Everybody, today I'm going to take a look at these smart ambient lighting towers from Airgoo. These are just simply intended to sit on your desk and fill your environment full of cool RGB lighting. This is kind of an inexpensive budget option when compared to, like, say, a Corsair LT100 tower, which I've also done a review of, which are, I think, more than double the price. So we'll kind of see how they hold up against a product like that. These have WS2812 LEDs in it, and it has a warm white function. The controller for this is a USB connector, which splits off into two 3-pin RGB connections. And then, of course, you will control this through the Airgoo Lustrous Software, which we'll take a brief look at in this video. All right, so included in this package are two towers, obviously. And you get the bases for it. They are removable from the base. And the towers have some protective film on it, and an RGB controller and connector, and some documentation and instructions. That is really all that comes with it. So the bases themselves, kind of just a suction cut base. Just press it down, and then that just kind of twists on there and locks. I will have to admit the bases look a little bit goofy and out of place. They're not really in the, they're not really an elegant design, because you can kind of see those coming through the top here. Overall, my impression, you're kind of getting what you pay for. It's got just a cheap plasticky feel. Let's go ahead and get this connected up. We'll boot up the Airgoo Lustrous software and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so after installing the Airgoo Lustrous software, go ahead and run it for the first time, and this is going to be the screen that you come to. It's fairly simplistic in its layout. The top panel here just shows the supported devices. Of course, we've got the ambient light towers that we're looking at today. I've also got the Commander fan and lighting controller in there. And then you can select all of those devices all at once and apply an effect to all of them. This is the effects that you can select on any given device. This will change depending on what device you select. So if we select the Commander only, we get the fans there. Of course, the tower doesn't support that, so that icon is not present. The effect library is just, you can save in these effects. So for static, for example, if you go ahead and configure a color and then get it to set the way that you want, you can save it using this little save icon up here, little disk icon, and it will just put that effect down here to where you can, it's just kind of like a hotkey. You can then just go back to it and select that at any time. So you get a fairly standard color selection panel here, just a graph, and then you get some quick keys here that you can select some quick colors to. It does represent the RGB values with hex and just numerical values here, but you can't set that. It looks like it's just for informational purposes only, and then you can kind of adjust the tone of the color here. Now, this camera is not picking up these towers very well for some reason, so I'm going to keep it kind of on the dimmer side. They do look a little bit better in person than what I can get represented on the camera, but let's take a look at it. So we're going to go ahead and select the ambient light towers. I'm going to select static. Now let's go ahead and just select a good blue color here. We'll go ahead and apply that. And we get the color to turn on just the towers themselves. Of course, we can select any color here that we like. Green. We can do a red. You get the main idea. We've got a whole lot of effects we can go to. We've got shift, which means we can kind of we can put in a bunch of different colors here. Looks like up to 16 of them. We won't go through all 16. And if we apply that, this is the effect that you get. Of course, we can change the speed of that. So select the speed you want, and then you can apply that. Of course, it will reset once it applies. And it just goes through each color here. Now, if we want to save this effect, if you get it set just exactly the way you want, just come up here to the save icon. It will put it down here, shift, and you can hit the little edit pen here. It'll put your cursor over here, and you can just type in shift, red, green, blue, or whatever. And then what I've had to do is I've had to just come up here and click up here again to unselect this. Okay, so that's shift. This is pulse. It's kind of the same idea. We're just going to select some of these selector boxes, and we'll apply that, and it's just going to go through each color one at a time. We'll select the speed here. it just goes through it pretty quick. And again, we can save this effect, pulse. And we'll just put pulse. Let's put pulse test. Okay, now just click up here to unselect that. Gradual. Gradual, now this we can select two different colors. We're going to select this left-hand circle right here, and we'll put a color in there, green. And then we can click over on the right circle, and we can select another color. And then it's kind of like a gradient that it's going to shift between those two. So we'll apply, so it starts with green and shifts over to red. I'm going to put a different color over here that might look a little bit better. So we're going to go from blue over to a red. And we can change the speed of that as well. Some of these are just pretty standard across all RGB devices and controllers. And then we get a temperature setting, which you can just tie this to your CPU temperature. You can change it to Celsius and Fahrenheit. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of what that looks like up against the wall. But they look decent enough. Let's put a static color back there. And let's just select blue. Kind of what you get with the blue color. Yeah, we'll select a couple of others. Red. That's probably going to come out better on the camera. Put a green. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a fairly close representation of what I'm seeing. Now, if we go ahead and select all of them and then apply that, you can see that we get rainbow on all of them. Of course, that heat sink in there is not being controlled by this, but the LED strip is and the fans are. All right, well, there you have it. There is the smart ambient lighting towers from Airgoo. Overall, I didn't have any trouble with these towers. They connected up. Lustrous Software picked them right up, and I was able to send all the lighting effects to them. And they look pretty decent as far as the RGB lighting goes. A couple things that I don't like about these towers. They are kind of cheaply constructed. They do feel very plasticky. And, you know, I mean, compared to like the Corsair LT100, obviously, right? You know, that's like $120 versus $40. You know, those, you know, have, you know, machined aluminum bases on them and are nice and heavy and look good. But, you know, these are just very plasticky. The suction cut base, just kind of weird to me. You know, from a top, you can even see where they've, you know, inserted those suction cups. I really just don't like the look of that. It's just kind of tacky. I mean, it works, it sits there, but you know, the base overall just kind of looks like it's maybe from 15 years ago. So, you know, and it's just kind of cheap, flimsy plastic. So, but you know, everybody will have a different opinion on that, and that's just kind of how I feel about it. So, but overall, the Lustrous software is very simplistic, but it functions. You know, you get a reasonable amount of lighting effects in there, a little bit of control. You don't get much customization. You can't control individual LEDs, things of that nature. You know, you can't export and import profiles, and you know, a couple little quirks about the software. And so much as like when you're trying to save an effect, it does not save which device you want to run it on. So a little bit of room for improvement for Airgoo maybe in the future there. But so would I recommend these? So I mean, if you know, really just like everything, it depends on really what you want. If you're on a tight budget, a strict budget, or maybe RGB lighting, you don't really care about that much, and you don't want to invest, you know, a substantial more amount of money in Corsair or something like that. You just want some basic stuff on the desk, and you don't mind the look of these bases and maybe kind of a cheaper tower. then these will be just fine. You know, they look good enough, they function. There's some pretty cool effects you can get with them. So that said, if you're serious about RGB lighting and you really want the, you know, the coolest look on your desk, and you know, these may not be exactly what you're looking for. So it'll also depend on what other Airgoo products you have. So if you happen to have, you know, a wide range of them, or you're already invested in, you know, some of their other products, then these might make a little more sense. And I don't know, maybe there's something you can do with those bases to kind of, you know, class it up a little bit. So anyways, overall, you really wouldn't go wrong if you buy them. I think I paid 50 bucks for these, which is probably a little bit overpriced. I've seen them recently on sale for $34.99, I think, on Amazon. I'll put an affiliate link in the description below. But anyways, 35 bucks, 30 bucks is, to me at least, more a reasonable price. That's about what they're worth to me. So anyways, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to help out the best I can when I can. And that is going to do it for today. Thank you.